You want me to put that on my todger?
This one's wife. You've estranged them. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Dorothy Reddin, per GB News, leads with the title, "What do they want an apology for? Harry and this one's wife blasted for separating estranged Lilibet and Archie from family." Yesterday it was Thanksgiving in the United States, a family occasion where families come together. What was released by the Sussexes in relation to Thanksgiving and their family? It would appear that they were too busy gadding around Vancouver and its environs to actually bother with their family. As I pointed out before, ordinarily you would expect that a narcissist would be hugely proud of their children and would be utilising them on a regular basis for the purposes of triangulation and management of the facade. We know that from time to time this one's wife does make mention of her children via triangulation to manage that facade by talking about how she loves being a mother, although she seems to spend an inordinate amount of time not being a mother. Once again, the hypocrisy of the narcissist. Nevertheless, many narcissists would treat you to repeated pictures of the child, splashing them all over social media, having no due regard for what the child wants because the narcissist lacks boundary recognition. The fact that this one's wife doesn't do that isn't because she's got emotional empathy, and it isn't because she recognises boundaries. Remember, she's a narcissist. Those two things are not applicable to her. Instead, it is, as I've explained elsewhere, that there are other reasons that govern why she hides the children, and I'd recommend that you watch my video about that. To some extent, this supports those that believe that there are no children. In other instances, it suggests that she's not as pleased with them as you might expect, and that she's keeping the children hidden for a variety of other reasons linked to dissatisfaction with appearance and behaviour, or simply waiting for the right moment so that the highest bidder comes along, although they haven't done so far, so that she can merchandise the children in some way. As part of her control of the children, of course, she's estranged them from family. They don't get to see their grandfather in the United Kingdom or step-grandmother. They don't get to see auntie and uncle or their cousins. They don't get to see grandfather in the United States. Don't get to see the uncle and auntie in the United States. This one's wife, as part of her necessity of control, has meant that her two children, on the assumption that they do exist, have nothing to do, or very little to do, with their extended family on both sides. This as of itself is demonstrative of the absence of emotional empathy on the part of this one's wife, in that she deems it appropriate to keep them away from people who would have a meaningful input into their lives. Many of you may well have grown up with your cousins being close playmates. You saw plenty of your grandparents, the uncles and aunties. It may be less as you've got older, but you may well have fond childhood memories of parties and events where the whole family gathered together. This is being denied to this one's wife. Children. She does it because she needs to control them. She does it because she doesn't actually care about them. She does it because she would much rather spite her father, Charles, William and Kate, than actually allow her children to have interaction with them. That shows the level of nastiness that exists in this woman by reason of the absence of her emotional empathy. And Dorothy Reddin picks up on this by explaining Prince Harry and this one's wife have been blasted for separating estranged Princess Lilibet and Prince Archie from the royal family. Since moving to the United States in 2020, Prince Archie, 4, and Princess Lilibet, 2, have only made one trip to the United Kingdom, which was for Queen Elizabeth II's Platinum Jubilee in June 2022. King Charles is understood to have had minimal contact with his younger son and 2 grandchildren, despite reports of a phone call which occurred on his 75th birthday, which, on the analysis of the evidence, suggests that it didn't actually take place and this was more propaganda behaviour from this one's wife. Sarah Vine, a columnist who occasionally comments on the royal family, opened up about the Duke of Sussex wanting an apology from his family. She said, "I still don't understand what they want the apology for." Well, I'll help you, Sarah Vine. This one's wife wants an apology because she believes that she's the victim. The distortion field that is her narcissism causes her to believe that she is the one that's been hard done to, that she is the one that other people have been cruel and unkind to. Harry also buys into this because he's been fed such a diet of victimhood by her over the last few years. He also recognises that it is better for him to support his wife than go against her. Accordingly, her narcissism tells her, these people have been brutally unkind to you, and therefore you are entitled to an apology. You are entitled to them telling you that they are sorry. And on that basis, you are allowed to say, "I don't want anything to do with you until such time as you apologise. And if that means you don't get to see your grandchildren, your nephew and niece, then so be it. I would rather them suffer by having no meaningful relationship with any of you than allow them to spend time with you and back down. I want my apology." Now, of course, there's nothing to apologise for, because what she believes that she should be apologised to for is a fabrication created by her narcissism, the belief that she has been hard done to. But her narcissism, every time the royal family pops up on the radar, tells her, they were awful to you, they should apologise. And therefore, she utilises that as the reason for not having anything to do with them, and that causes her to assert control by staying in a position of withdrawal. Sarah Vine commented, "Apologies are, what would it change? Materially, would it make their lives any better?" Well, it would give this one's wife the control that she craves, you see. In relation to Harry, she said, "I think he's just being petulant, as ever." Speaking to Palace Confidential, she added, "It's all about the Sussexes. They don't think about anybody else. Harry doesn't think about what this has done to his father, what this has done to his brother, what this is doing to his two children who will grow up completely estranged from their British family, which maybe that's the right thing, I don't know, but they might like to have some connection. I think anybody would suggest that the starting point is that you have involvement with your family until such time as evidence points to it not being in their favour, i.e. it becomes problematic and harmful. The default position is you should be involved with your family, and here there isn't any evidence to suggest that they ought not to be. Imagine if you get to the age of 12 and then you suddenly realise you're the grandson of the King of England and you've never been allowed to meet him because your father's had some absurd persecution complex for most of your life and recording strange birthday videos. Well, part of it might be the persecution complex of Harry, but it's also driven by the narcissism of this one's wife and her need for control. Thus, another criticism about why the children are estranged. And, of course, it all links back to the narcissism of this one's wife and a desire to use children as pawns to control other people. Typical behaviour of a narcissist. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.